Hello friends, hope you are all fine and doing very well. As you know, we are learning CSS Advanced, and if you are watching this tutorial without going through the playlist, then it will cause trouble. So you should learn in order, so that way you can reach to your destination. Now our today's topic is CSS Shadows and their effects of how we can create shadow effects. And believe me friends, this video is very cool because it's a new feature in CSS. So we are covering in this tutorial about everything about this tutorial in this tutorial. So the first thing is we are going to cover about shadow. There are two types of shadow actually. The first one is text shadow and another is box shadow. So the CSS text shadow property applies shadow to text, and on the other hand we use CSS box shadow property on boxes, or you can say it as we can apply box shadow property on containers or divs or images or whatever. Let's do some coding. So this is my desktop and I'm going to create a folder here and name it as shadows. Once I created this folder, I'm going to open it with VS Code editor, and it's a very good editor for writing codes. Yep. Now I'm going to create a new file here and name it as index.html, and I'm going to open this file in my web browser. Now I'm going to create some boilerplate of my HTML. If you don't know about HTML, you can watch my HTML playlist. I will include the link in the description also and in my suggestion tab, so you can see watch the full complete tutorial on HTML for dummies. So it is very easy. Now let me give it a title like CSS Shadows, something like this, and I'm going to link a file. I'm going to link my CSS file here with style.css, its file name, and once I click on it, it is saying me that we cannot able to open this file, unable to open style.css. This is because here we are not creating this file. So once we create this file, this Visual Studio will open it. So it is showing me an error and saying me if you want to create a file, then go ahead and click on this button. So I'm going to click on this button and it will automatically create a CSS file. So I don't have to manually write here style.css. So now the next thing is we are going to apply a shadow on our text. So let me take a heading here. We are taking the very biggest and very important heading known as H1, and we can say it as the quick code. Okay, it's my actually channel name. So if I refresh, it will look something like this. Now I'm going in my style sheet, and first of all I'm going to apply some you can say that I'm going to apply some resets here. Oh my god, I have to put a strike here and put margin to 0, not this way. Yes, margin 0, padding 0, and box sizing border box. Now these three properties will apply on each and every element because we selected here a universal selector that will select each and every element. So I'm applying margin to 0, padding to 0, and box sizing to border box, and box sizing will help to it will actually prevent from changing the width of the element if we change the padding. So it won't change the actual width of the element. So so it is good for making responsive sites. So now the next thing is I'm going to select my heading here. The very biggest heading is H1. I'm going to select it and write a property known as text shadow. So here is my text shadow, and I'm going to use this property to apply a text shadow. Now if I refresh, nothing is changed, but the margin and padding are gone. And I'm going to change another font family here. That is maybe this one is good. If I refresh, it looks like this and it looks good. And one more thing is I'm going to align it to center. Align item, not align items. I want to text align to center. So if I refresh, it will be center. Now I want to apply a shadow on the quick code. So it's very simple. You have to use the text shadow property, and then give the first, there you have to give the two values. So I'm giving the first value is for x-axis, that will move the shadow in horizontal order, and the next property is vertical, so, or you can say y-axis, so it will move the shadow in vertical order. Now if I refresh, now you can see there's a shadow here that is moving 2 pixels from its from in horizontal order, and in vertical order there is 2 pixels also. Now if you don't believe on me, I can show you here also. If I increase the first value here, you can see it is moving in horizontal order. Yeah, the shadow is moving in horizontal order. Now if I change in vertical order also, you can see the shadow is moving in vertical order. But here is the cool thing is that the shadow is not colorful, so you can change its color also. So it's very simple. Just you have to put a space here, and you can specify a color of your shadow. Now if I refresh, you can see there is a shadow that I put, and color it as red. So the shadow color is here red. You can change the color if you want to edit it live. You can change it from here. You can set a different type of color if you want. So it's looking good. And but one more thing, if I keep this increasing, you can see that this is not looking like a shadow. Yeah, actually here I change the opacity. If I again change it, if I again refresh it, and if I you can see if I increase the horizontal value, you can easily see that the shadow is the opacity of the shadow is very saturated. So that's why it is not looking like a shadow. And if we want to make it a shadow, we can also blur it. So adding a blur effect, we have to give the third value. If I refresh it again, it will come back to its original position because we haven't saved it here. Now I'm going to put another value, a random value. I'm taking here a random value. You can change it whatever you want. I'm giving it 3 pixels, so it will make it 3 pixel blur. Now if I refresh, you can see the blur effect is here, and now it is looking like a shadow. If I change my vertical or y-axis value, so you can see now it looks like a shadow. So if I increase this, it will become more blur. And if I again decrease it here, let's put here, and if I change it also to here, and if I decrease it, if I decrease it, let's pause here. So it is looking like a shadow of the text. Now these are the 3 properties that is used for shadow. The first one is these are the 3 values actually, and that we apply on our text shadow. The first property, the first value that we used is the x-axis, that will move our shadow in horizontal order, and the next is move our text shadow in vertical order, and the third value moves our element, or not element, the shadow of the element. It moves, it actually blurs that element. And the third one is we can specify the color of our shadow. We can also give multiple shadow hairs. Like if for giving it a multiple shadow, you can just put a comma here and then again repeat the procedure, like 2 pixel, 3 pixel from its vertical order, and 5 pixel blur, and give it a blue color. Now if I refresh, you can also see the bluish effect in your shadow. So you can create multiple cool effects on your shadow. And if let's suppose if I change its color to white, not ice blue, if I change its color to white, and you can see the background color is also white. If I refresh, it something looks like this. So yeah, you can create multiple effects for it. Now the very most thing that I usually use it in, I just put 0, so it will be very center of my text, and 0 from vertical, so it won't move from its horizontal or vertical order. So it will still apply there in its current position. If I refresh, and if I remove white color from here, you can see there is no shadow, because the shadow is behind this text, so that's why it is not displaying here. Now what I do next, if I change its color to blur, and if I refresh, you can see the effect, and it's looking like a black glowing effect. Now the next thing that I just increase again change its color to white, and if I refresh, oops, everything is back. So how can I fix this? You have to give maybe another color known as black color, and if I refresh, yeah, everything is come back. So you have to display the back color also, not back color actually, the color of your shadow, so it looks like very nice effect. So it's like popping up from the white color, and the text is popping up from the white color. So you can do much more with this. If our coming up topics is on animations, so once you learn animation, you can combine these all CSS3 properties and make amazing animations. So for now, this is just a very basic for that purpose. And another thing, this is all about our text shadow. Now the next thing we are going to learn is our box shadow, and the box shadow is actually applied on the elements like divs or whole containers or images. It is also very simple, and it is very similar to text shadow. So now I'm going to put a div here like this, and target this div here. So I'm going to target this div, setting it a margin top to 30 pixel, and its width to, let's suppose 200 pixel, and same the height is also 200 pixel, not 20 pixel, 200 pixel. Set it a background color to let's suppose brown, or yeah, it's blue, good. If I refresh, it is here. Now if I apply this here, it will be center maybe. No, it won't become in center. So how can I center my div? Yeah, that's a cool thing. If I put margin to auto, if I refresh, yeah, it's here. So you can do margin auto, so it will just put margin from here, and it will center the div. So this is another trick that you can use for centering a div. I can also do it with flex, but I'm showing you this trick also. I want to show you this trick. Now I'm just want to put a top here of 20 pixel and bottom, so it will something moves, it will give us a space here between our text and a box. Now if you want to apply a shadow on this box, how can you do this? It's very simple. It's actually very simple. Just you have to use the box shadow property. Yeah, that's it. Now it is actually, you have to give the value. I'm giving it 10 pixel by 10 pixels, so it will give, it's also, it is actually, this is axis and this is y axis, as similar as we doing it in text shadow. So the box shadow is very similar to this. Now if I refresh, you can see it is 10 pixels from x axis and 10 pixels from y axis. Now if I select this div, and if I target here, now if I target the first value, and if I keep increasing it, you can see the shadow is start moving in its horizontal order. Now if I change the value, if I target the second value, and if I keep increasing it, you can see now the shadow is actually moving in vertical order. So this tells us that the first value is for x-axis and the second value is for y-axis. So here we are giving the x-axis and the y-axis. If I refresh, and everything will come back because we haven't changed it here. Now the next value, you can give it a color. If I refresh, the color is changed as we done it in our text shadow property. If I give another value that is again 10 pixel, it will actually blur it out, so it looks like this, and it's very cool. Yeah, it is just similar to the text shadow, but you have to use the property. You have to change the property to text shadow to box shadow. You have to change the property text shadow to box shadow. So I'm here putting a box shadow. Everything is similar. Everything is just a copy of text shadow here. Now another cool feature of this box shadow, and that is a very main difference between a text shadow and a box shadow, is that in box shadow you can give a fourth value also, but you cannot give a fourth value in text shadow, and I do not prefer to use a fourth value, and that is actually the spread of your shadow. So this last value here is the spread of your shadow. If I increase it, so you can see the shadow is spreading out. So I'm not prefer to use it, but yeah, if you want to use it, you can use it. It's totally up to you. And now this is actually everything about box shadow. And one more thing, that you can also specify multiple box shadow as we used in our text shadow. So I'm giving it a multiple text shadow, box shadow here. Sorry, I'm repeating text shadow. Now I'm giving it a blue color here, or you can say a green color. Now if I refresh, you can see there is a red color also and a greenish color also. If I increase this to 20, actually it is blurring it. Now it's good. If I keep it 30, if I refresh, you can see there is actually one shadow and another shadow. So there is two shadows here. You can actually create multiple shadow, multiple effects on it. Like if I'm giving you 10 pixel by 10 pixel, and again 10 pixel. If I refresh, okay, if I give it, let's suppose 15 pixel here and also 15 pixel here. If I refresh, it's coming here, and if I also give it a 10 pixel here, so it is keep itself blur. And now if I just remove this property from div, and if I apply this property on hover like this, and if I just put it here and refresh, if I hover on it, you can see this effect. And if you put a transition here, so you can see it's the properties will affected and work smoothly. Now if I hover on it, you can see how our element is spreading out. So you can actually create much more with it. And last thing that I usually use it as, and that one is, I do not use a background color here, and I actually use it in this way. So I'm telling it to you that you can use it in this way also. So that way is black color, 0 from x-axis, 0 from y-axis, and remove its background color. Now if I refresh, I'm actually using it in this way. So this looks like a gloss effect. So you can actually create much more with it. So this is everything about box shadow and text shadow in CSS. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you are enjoying this tutorial, please share it with your friends and family. You are actually my family, so that's why I'm telling you that and asking you to please share this content if you think it's valuable. So thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next tutorial.